Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. Today we're looking at a system of abrasive products which is called the Farecla G360 Super Fast System. Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. So we're looking at a system of abrasives here, guys, known as the G360 Super Fast Finishing. It is two kits, the compounding kit and the polishing kit. Now, we've done a lot of stuff on abrasives on this channel, but this stuff is a little bit different, so stay tuned to this one, it's interesting. What do you get in the compounding kit, first of all? Well, the compounding kit costs 45 quid. You get a litre of this SFC 101 cutting compound. You get a foam sandwiched wool pad, so it's a wool cutting pad, and then you get their yellow mid-range kind of medium kind of polishing pad, if you like, foam pad, and you get some instructions. In the finishing kit, which costs 34 quid, you get, it's quite a bit cheaper actually, you get the SFF, which is Super Fast Finishing 101, like a finishing polish, dehologrammer if you like, a litre of that, their black finishing pad, which you could probably see is on the polisher here, a microfiber cloth and some instructions. So those are the kits. If you don't want the kits and all of these pads, you can buy the abrasives separately. The litre of the cutting compound, the SFC 101, costs, checking my hand, 25 quid, and the super fast finishing polish SFF 101 costs 26 quid. Right, that's the basics on what's in the kits and what they do. Now let's talk about these particular products and how you would use them. Okay guys, so why is this video kind of interest? Because we've done a lot of stuff, to be frank, on abrasives. You know, we've covered heavy cutting compounds, and there's lots of good ones. We've covered lots of finishing products. We've covered one-stage products, and the Farécla one-stage product that we reviewed was great, the G3 Premium Abrasive. What is this kind of stuff giving you? Well, the clue is on the kind of box really, Super Fast System, and it's got the letters here, P3000, crossed out with a red kind of line. And what that means is the product is trying to eliminate the need or the requirement to step down heavier sanding marks, you know, your P1500 down to P2000 or 2500 and then down to P3000 with, you know, using the P3000 kind of sanding discs, which are expensive. And if you go to any body shop up and down the country, if they're untidy buggers, you will see the floor of their workshop that they've been working on a car covered in those sanding discs, and they cost a fortune. So that's one of the main things that I wanted to look at about this product. It claims it can cope with P1500 sanding marks very rapidly. I didn't have any P1500, so I am testing it with P1200, P1200, which is a little bit more coarse than what they're claiming it can cope with. So that's interesting. If it can do that, then it can definitely cope with P1500. So that's what primarily we're going to be looking at today. Okay guys, so how would you kind of use this product? Well, it's a cutting compound at the end of the day, so you can use it any way you want to cut paint. But quite specifically, the instructions from Farécla here is that you just put a dot of a small amount of the compound onto their wool kind of pad. Brush out any new wool pads first, just to get any kind of loose fibres out of them. And then you really do probably want to be priming the pad, but don't cover it in too much compound or anything like that. I just use a little separate area of my test panel just to get some more coverage over the wool pad. Then you're either going to be going in to kind of mop a freshly laid clear coat, will be the scenario that this will be used in a lot of times. So they'll be mopping out, you know, raw painted clear coat to get it all nice and kind of flat and looking good. But also after, you know, a body shop has done that work and sprayed the car, they will go and inspect that clear coat, and typically they'll find little kind of dust specked intrusions and stuff like that, which they will kind of remove with little kind of grip pads, tiny little ones, you know, doing these little tiny bits of kind of correction or sanding. And it's kind of taking those marks out very quickly, which is the key thing about this product, its ability to cut very quickly. So whatever you're working on, you could just use it and compound out an entire wing, but typically you're probably going to be working on, you know, sandy marks and stuff like that. But you get your target area. You then start working the product at 1500 RPM with slight tilt. So that's one of the cool things, is that these are flexible backing plates, like we've said before. Not just flexible in the sense they've got a layer of foam in, but it's the whole sort of face of the plate is rubberized, so you can actually tilt it up without the sort of machine lifting the plate with you, you know, because the other ones have rigid plates. And in combination with this kind of foam core underneath, this foam sandwich underneath the wall pad, you can really tilt so well with this particular system, which is one of the things that's cool. When you start tilting the machine, you're putting all of the pressure and the weight of the machine and whatever force you're putting down on a much smaller area. So that increases kind of how you work the abrasives. You'll work them a lot harder. And Farécla say that when you're doing this first tilt phase at 1500, do not apply heavy pressure. You don't need to. Their system with the flexible plate and the foam is there to kind of do that for you. So you just put a slight bit of tilt, and you can just put a little bit of weight there in combination with it and just work it over your target area. And you, at the start of that set, you will get a massive amount of cut. After about 30 or so seconds, when you start to see the product breaking down a little bit, you can just flatten it down, drop the speed down to 900, then no pressure at all, and just pass it over the area that you are polishing. Probably for about a total, there's no guidelines, exact guidelines on time with this. The problem is you can keep going a long time with this, but I don't think on the rotary, in this system, you would be working it for much more than 60 to 90 seconds. In fact, probably closer to 60 seconds, I'll say, but that's just my opinion. And then once you've done that, you stop, you rub off, you wipe off, and you inspect. Okay, now that's the first thing. When you are using wool, it is very common to put in hazing marks when you are compounding on the rotary. And in this demonstration, there's some hazing there, but it's really hard to spot. I had to black it out and get that out and stand back at the right angle, and I could just start to see it. Not a lot, to be expected really. So Farécla in their instructions say you can then have the option of going again with the polishing pad, the yellow polishing pad, and the same cutting compound, perhaps just work it a bit slower with a little bit less pressure. In fact, they tell you exactly 900 to 1300, only a small amount of product needed, and that will gloss up the paintwork and remove any hazing that's put in from the sort of aggressive first pass that you've done with the wool. So that's important. Or what I've noticed there is you could just skip after that kind of cutting phase straight to their finishing product, use that on the rotary, again following the instructions, 800 to 1100 RPM, small amount of product. I just did 4 little kind of pea-sized drops, and then just work it over the area, gloss it up, and then wipe down. So that's what it is, and that is how you use it. And now we're going to go through all my notes about these products and some of the cool things that I've noticed. First up, this is just a general one. I'd heard people talk about the old Farecla kind of G3 range, the stuff that was developed kind of decades ago. I'd heard it was dusty, and some people didn't like that. Well, one thing from using their G3 premium abrasive, the other thing I've reviewed on the channel, both of these, they do not dust, okay? Well, I say they do not dust, I'm sure you can make them dust. They are, for a heavy cutting compound, we'll talk about this in terms of how much capability it's got. It's great on dusting. It's got like a gel-like thing going on, even more so than the G3 Premium, which I thought when I just felt that product in my fingers it was going to be a duster, but it wasn't. It's quite oily. But this has got like a softness to it, especially when you're using it on wool. And it didn't feel like a really abrasive compound to work, but it is. We'll talk about that. But the key point of this first thing is it doesn't dust, which is very important. Second thing, the wool pad in combination with the flexible backing plate and in combination with the foam layer is really, really nice when you are working on little areas of kind of sanding marks that you're trying to get out. Because like I say, it allows you to pressurize it better than if you were using a fixed kind of plate, in my opinion, where all the pressure is going to be on one little kind of bit of the outside edge of that kind of plate. This, it's distributed better, so you don't have to actually kind of worry too much about pressure, and I think it's a little bit more consistent. You literally just have to hold the machine and just put a slight bit of lean there and just carry on working it as you would normally, and I really like that. So it's a nice kind of soft feel to this plate and pad system, so that's kind of good. Point number 3, there is a massive amount of cut with this particular product at the start of the set. I think literally 2 passes, and I don't know because I kept on going afterwards, but maybe 2 or 3 passes over those 1200 sanding marks with this and the wool probably got them all out, which is impressive. The amount of cut there is huge, okay, which is good because it needs it. What I didn't want to be able to see was those sanding marks still in there after I'd done that kind of one set with them on the rotary, because that would have been a failure. And remember what I said at the start, I used 1200 dry, so they're quite brutal sanding marks as well. So it coped with the sanding marks. Point 4, as I've mentioned, there was some hazing with the wall pad. You know, that's just the way it is. You're going to get that with the wall cutting pad. So you are going to need to probably take out that hazing more often than not, and I think they're aware of that because it's part of our system, is kind of tells you about it. But that's always, you've got to suck it and see, if you pardon the pun. If you get the compound kind of hazing with the wool, then you've got to take it out. It might be possible to use this 360 just on the yellow pads if you're not dealing with those really deep sanding marks, and then you probably don't have to worry about that wool hazing, so that's fine. I did also mention that I think it's very viable just to jump straight to the finishing product rather than do another set with the yellow to take those hazing out. You might want to do another set with the yellow for whatever reason though, so it's as required. 8 up the P1 200 marks. 6, the price is good on these products, so for the abrasives themselves, 25 quid, 26 quid, about a £5, maybe 6 quid cheaper than the market average of all of these abrasives. So Farecla are always good on prices. I don't know if you can ever get below that price with like discounts from stores and stuff like that, but that's good, isn't it? So we don't have to talk too much about that. Okay, let's finish off this video, guys. The good news and the bad news. The good news is that if you're in the professional kind of body shop industry, you know, you're laying out clear coat day in, day out and working on it all the time, or you're a professional detailer that's taking out, you know, sanding marks and all that stuff and flattening paint, clear coat and all that sort of stuff, I think you're going to love this stuff, guys. I think you're going to love it. All of the product claims, especially this easy glide technology that I haven't talked about. It's a really smooth abrasive, this is as well, and kind of the way it breaks down, translucent kind of effect. I think people will like that. It's different. It's a modern abrasive. You know, I talked earlier on that the old Farécla stuff got criticised. Well, it's probably developed, what, 10 or 15 years ago. This stuff is, whoever's developed this knows what they are doing, guys, because this is as good as anything I've used. It really is. And like I say, I've not used anything that cuts as rapidly as this. Now, that's where the bad news comes in, perhaps, that for the guys at home that are looking to go and pick a product to kind of polish their car and stuff like that, you should not be defaulting to this SFC 101. Is that what it's called? Yeah, SFC 101. All these TLAs, these 3-letter acronyms. You shouldn't be defaulting to this. Farécla have something that sits in the middle, their G3 Premium Abrasive, which doesn't have as much cut, obviously. Actually, the G3 doesn't feel the same as this. It's an oilier abrasive, in my opinion, and you can still work the hell out of it. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked. This easy glide technology and transparent use, it's a little bit different. It reminds me of another abrasive that I don't want to talk about, that I like. So I think there isn't much information on this particular product. Like I said, it's new to market. I think it's going to go down really well, and I'm interested to see if any other reviews come out on it. And I'm really interested, as always, in the comments, guys. You guys are brutally honest, which is what we want. Put in there, if you've used it, what you think about it. Tell me about what you think about the cut. Tell me about what you think about this easy glide smoothness that I've kind of talked about, and they talk about in the product description. Just tell me your overall thoughts on the product. You can't tell me it's expensive, because it isn't. It's very well priced. This stuff is fantastic, guys. It is absolutely fantastic. I'm looking at it and thinking, how can I use it at home? Because I said perhaps if you're an enthusiast or a hobbyist, there goes the old Julio Iglesias hand. If you're an enthusiast or a hobbyist, it might not be the most suitable abrasive to use if you're looking to just polish a car, which is important to say. So would I just take this particular product and go and use it to cut? Well, I might do actually, because every now and then when you're trying to take out even fine swirls, sometimes they can be a bugger. We had it the other day with Reg. I recommended Reg a method, a process to use with an abrasive and a pad choice. It's just a starting point, as always. You can't cover all bases. But what I'm trying to say here is it didn't work really, and he's got hardly any swirls in his M140. It's brand spanking new white, and the paint is absolutely rock solid, and he would love this. And he does it professionally as well, so he'd be okay kind of using this now. Like I said, I'm not sure if you should default to it or just use it if you're looking to polish a car and you haven't used lots of different abrasives before, especially on the rotary polisher, because with that level of cut you've got to be and a wall pad, you've got to be careful. And I haven't tested it on a dual action polisher. I've tested it to deliver what Farecla how they kind of developed it, how they instruct you to use it, and it works fantastically with their instructions. So it's a big thumbs up, guys. I am banging the pots and pans on this one in a positive way. Important for me to say, guys, this is not a paid for review or sponsored or anything like that. Tim from Farécla sent me the email, and once I read the product and I saw that it was a little bit different, the thing that got my interest was the fact that the need to skip the P3000 sanding discs. That got my interest, and we've covered so many abrasives, I didn't want to just cover the same ground. It's just another heavy cutting compound and another finishing polish. It isn't. It's a very rapid system that is very nice to use, and I think it's really, really clever. And I'm in a place where if I've got something bad to say about a product, I'll just say it, you know, because I'm going to say it in a nice way. But I'm interested in what's good and what's bad, and I think YouTube, from what I see, it's not always going to tell you the bad things, and I kind of always want to. I don't know why, maybe I'm just an asshole, but I like saying what's bad about the products as well. There's nothing bad about this at all, but you just need to be mindful of the fact that it's got a ton of cut, and that's not always going to be appropriate, and that's important for me to get this across in this video. But if you're a professional, you're going to notice the cut level as soon as you first use it, and then the next thing you notice is how nice it is to use the product, and after that I think you're going to be sold and you're going to like it. So let me know in the comments what you think, guys. That's it on this particular video. Thank you very much for watching. This has been the G360 Super Fast System from Farécla. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I